Thank you very much, Mr. Cardoso. I had refrained from formally introducing Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu with the premonition that what we are going to say today will gradually unveil the character of his administration. I think we have a start now. You know now that it was in Lagos State and during the time of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget was created and given the sole purpose of planning for the state. Not only that, setting up fora for coming together and reviewing the progress of those plans, having economic summits at which all the resolutions are carefully noted and are to be reported upon at the next summit. Let's give Mr. Yemi Cardoso another round of applause. And you would agree with me that nothing can be done without and therefore I think it's apt now to ask someone who knew how the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu was achieved. And in that regard, I will be calling upon Mr. Wale Edun.
Good evening. Thank you very much for that very warm introduction, Mr. Ade Ikpaye. I'd like to put in all the existing protocols, including the one that has been scrolling on the screen, including the one by my sister, Honorable Abike. And I would just like to summarize as follows. Mr. Chairman, Chief Emeka Anyoku CFR, the celebrant, His Excellency Asiwaju Tinubu, Kábíyèsí, Your Royal Majesties, Your Excellencies, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have to begin, if I may, by saying a very happy birthday to His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and also to congratulate his lovely and devoted Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and indeed to say congratulations to the whole entire Tinubu clan. I would start by saying that I'm very happy and honored to be invited to such an auspicious occasion, and that's what Mr. Yemi Cardoso did, but I don't know what to. You see, because it's Yemi Cardoso and I who are usually providing support to Professor Yemi Osinbajo for arranging his colloquium. What Yemi Cardoso might have been afraid of. You see, he is down to speak this year. I am down to speak. Professor Yemi Osinbajo is also. So it seems like all three of us have deliberately put ourselves to speak on this very special occasion. But it's merely a coincidence. More seriously, the tremendous success of Asiwaju Tinubu's government, which a few of us have the privilege to today, was very much, and I think this is what I'd like to emphasize, was very much a team effort in which not only every member of both his cabinet, also the civil service bought into the leadership and vision of Asiwaju. What he achieved, he could never have achieved as a lone ranger. Team effort, and I'd even like to seize this opportunity to once again congratulate the Tinubu team, many of whom I know are in the audience today. For them, please. Thank you. Okay. In order to save time, I'll stick very close to my My topic is public financing in an emerging megalopolis, or mega city, or sprawling urban population center. Is undoubtedly one, as the next slide should show us. There we are. In fact, Lagos, if you look at 2015, is projected largest urban sprawl or mega city. And the first thing I would like to say regarding successful and sustainable financing mega city, a city such as Lagos, or indeed any city, any geographical expression, is that taxation has to be the government revenue. It is taxes that provide the predictable, the reliable, the regular, and hopefully adequate basis a government can deliver public goods and growth and development can be achieved. Next slide, please. If we look at revenue as a percentage of total revenue in these mega cities, which I've randomly sampled, all of them have taxes as the source of government revenue and financing. And in recent years, as you see there, taxes have made up nearly 50%. In Lagos and Dhaka, the poorest of the countries, over 50%. And you know, even when one looks at the federation account, as many of the excellencies here know, when one looks at the federation account, is from all revenue. But when you take account of the fact that petroleum profit tax is about a third of that oil-based revenue, then in fact, even at the federal level, play a crucial role. Yes, there are other components of public financing. There's money from the center, there's special funds, and there's debt, of which I'll talk about. But the point to be made here is that taxes are of paramount importance in planning and financing development, as opposed to any other ad hoc financing, short-term or short-lived financing, which cannot be relied upon. And that is why all over the world, heavy sanctions, including, are used to enforce tax collection. And now, looking back briefly at the success of the administrations, because as we know, there were two, of the administrations of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu in taxation and internal revenue generation is well known, it's been well documented. Figures just keep going up and up on the graph, and even today, it's the same story. And the lesson that I think I'll focus on is not so much all the technical things that were done. It was essentially a social contract entered into between the governor of Lagos and the people of Lagos, and it created a virtuous. He said, you pay your taxes and I will deliver. People paid, maybe out of hope, out of trust. He blocked loopholes, he monitored effectively and efficiently, and he delivered. He delivered roads, he delivered water, he delivered healthcare, he delivered a better environment, and the citizenry was further encouraged to pay their dues, and that completed what I call the virtuous circle. Of course, Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola has maintained that same social contract with the people of Lagos, and now IGR is well over 50, and I'm sure it's headed for much more, from a mere 600 million naira monthly in 1999. However, nobody really likes to pay that, and that is why you have Governor Fashola getting ready to wield the big stick of enforcement and legal sanction, in addition to the carrot of performance that he has given us. Another aspect of public sector financing that I'd like to delve into very briefly here is long-term debt financing. From Mumbai to Jakarta, all these megalopolises, all these large cities use debt financing to augment their resources, and in particular, long-term money, long-term debt to fund capital projects. There's no reason why Lagos should be any different. However, what I would call, with due respect to the efforts of our federal legislators and federal operators here, what are respectfully, the relatively weak and unseasoned federal structure of the country has in the past hindered access to debt markets for Lagos and indeed other states, and it is threatening to do so again. Here is not really the place to go into the harrowing experience that Lagos suffered and was put through before it finally launched a 15 billion naira then record in 2002. It's sufficient for me to say here that the records will show that the rules and regulations were put in place by the Ministry, by CBN, that effectively closed the long-term market to all states. It is indeed no exaggeration when I tell you that single-handedly Asiwaju Bola Tinubu achieved the reopening of the capital market to the public sector, thus facilitating access to long-term funds for all, not just Lagos. And maybe I need to explain a little further because it's such a grandiose statement to make and I'm not given to hype. What happened was that after all the efforts of the Lagos economic team, as well as others in the finance sector, had failed to sway the authorities, I now embark on a last-ditch attempt to save the day by securing an appointment for His Excellency and I to see the Governor of Central Bank, then Chief J.O. Sanusi. At that meeting, over an hour, Asiwaju elaborated his development plans for and the reason why Lagos and other capable states should be allowed access to the capital market, and why he believed the blanket ban on state bonds was a bad thing for the Nigerian economy as a whole. The end result was that CBN was convinced, the ban was eased, and the rest, as they say, in my view, in my personal view, it was definitely one of Asiwaju's finest hours. And I was the only witness there. It was a case of, with all due respects, when one's masquerade dances well, one is overjoyed. Sorry, sir. Kábíyèsí. Tí egweni bámọ̀ ọjọ́ orí àyà àtọkùn rẹ̀. In those days. The next slide will tell us. The next slide will show us the effect of that intervention by His Excellency. Can I have the next slide, please? I'll just go ahead. The next slide would have showed us that the volume and the tenor of bonds issued rose to record levels. Not just the issued, but the tenor, the long-term nature of funds that were available. If we now think ahead, the lesson going forward here is that the battle for federalism in our dear country, including fiscal federalism, of which Asiwaju has been an unflinching advocate, must continue and won at every turn. I believe he won the fight to reopen the capital markets because the fight was just one more of encounters emanating from a principled stand for federalism. In this instance, he was rightly saying that it should be the debt rating agencies, it should be the financial markets, it should be the investors that decide when a state is able to access the market for term funds, rather than that question being decided by federal fiat. I believe 10 years on,